Here we go. How's it going, everybody? This is our evening show on 11/8/21, and this is for educational purposes only. No, I'm not giving advice. I'm talking through a day and ideas that I have, and it should not be interpreted as anything other than education and for education purposes, along with anybody else here that gives their opinion. That's all it is. So we are going to be talking about bending, and what we define as bending in this room, in case you are watching this from outside of our room, or you don't trade with us a lot, bending is kind of almost a chase. There's not a legitimate quote unquote setup. So you're taking a setup that's more of like it's probably going to go. This name has that ability. I'm kind of bent towards this name. I'm kind of like not to the full like negative tilting, but like this just seems like it's going to go. I'm going to try it here. I'm going to try it here, like taking a lot of front runs and some different things like that. And in a second, if anybody who's here has a different definition of bending, we can kind of expand on that. But that's roughly bending. It's kind of focusing in on one name and expecting a breakout to happen or expecting to be able to make money in it. So AMD was a great example of that, and I want to go over when it's okay, quote unquote, and when it's not okay. So AMD early, it was super hard to trade and not much was happening. It was my favorite name early, and I had called it out and talked through it, not because I knew any news was coming or that I thought what happened today was going to happen. It was just because it was holding up so well with the Qs falling down. It was near all-time highs, and I was kind of bent on it early, and I did not make money in it. At least, I think if I made money, I broke even in it early because of how choppy it was. And some names are like this. Tesla's been like this. Some other names are like this. And it's kind of so how it doesn't work and when a name doesn't work, you can see here, if you look on the charts to your left, the 1 minute chart, that the one and done worked. But every candle after that almost engulfs the previous candle. So there's no just tick higher. It's like if you buy the 1 minute breakout here, you go up, or let's say you buy this 1 minute breakout, it's going to shoot down, so you're going to be down money, and then it's going to shoot back up, and then it's going to shoot down some. Like every candle halfway engulfs the previous candle. So it's, unless you're holding something or diamond handing it, it makes it really hard to play. Almost, for me, impossible to make money with my style of trading. For others, it's much easier. So that was AMD early, and it was decently strong. We played some other names this morning, and I had to leave. I went to the chiropractor, and I regret going to the chiropractor, even though I don't really. Sorry, if I was saying something, I didn't hit the button, so I'm going to say what I said again. I didn't play this too much early because it didn't break out, and then I had to go to the chiropractor, and I missed this big move. A few people had texted me and said that, oh, AMD's going. Did you catch that? And I was out, so I didn't catch it. And I came back pretty much when the move was done. But here is where I've noticed it's okay to bend. You have this big pop, and I wasn't trading this part in AMD, but I feel like this part was probably easier to make money. You have a legitimate a one and done reset. You have a big candle with massive volume. I think there was news. This is now a legitimate C strategy, one of the strategies that we teach. You have, right after that, it works. Look at this pop. That's the one and done. You buy before this candle breaks. That's all. I don't know how you lose on that unless you hold too long or something happens, because there's no pull down here. It just went over and popped right up. So you've got that. The second candle, now it pulls down. You're here. It pulls down, starts setting back up. You have a front run probably somewhere in this level for a Mark 1. Within the last 50 seconds, or 10 seconds, I'm sorry, of this candle, you should probably be front running it if you're trying to catch this Mark 1. All right, let me shift though. I don't mind. So there we go, and I'll shift back out of it. Where was I at? Here we go. All right, here we go. So I'm just enlarging the screen a little bit. So where am I at? So here's your Mark 1. It worked. It popped up. You could bend on this because you have this high volume here. There's a chance that it just runs higher. So you wouldn't necessarily, if you were bending, this would kind of be that bend, is trying to catch this breakout. But this breakout doesn't happen. So now it pulls down. Because this pulls down, you should not be trying to front run a previous candle. You're now waiting for the next strategy because a one and done isn't going to work. So you're waiting for now what we call a mark one. So you're waiting for this candle to work. This is the first legitimate mark one. It fails. Because it failed, you would not try to catch this candle breakout. If you try to catch this candle breakout, it's a bend because it's not a real strategy. I don't think it hit the 8 there. No, it missed the 8. So because it missed the 8, there's no other strategy. So this is one of those candles that are hard to play. It pops up, it drops. But now you have a know your limit 8. And I'm just talking through this because it'll make more sense up here. But you should not have tried to play this breakout unless it first hit the 8 down here. If you did, it was a bend. And it wasn't a bad bend, but you should only bend once on a failed strategy, in my opinion, or what I've noticed is the most successful, is because if you have multiple bends on a failed breakout, you're more than likely to give back your day. So you wouldn't want to front run this super heavy, and you wouldn't want to front run it super long, because you can see it never triggers. So if you're front running on these, I mean, they're not really that close together, so hopefully you're not front running on them, you're not bending on them, but your stochastics are also pointing down here, so you might want to give it some room. So you had a 1 minute breakout that failed. You had a 8 moving average that has not broken out yet, so there's no reason to take any of these front runs until you get to here. Your stochastic would have been down here towards the bottom and probably would have started crossing up at this candle. Because you have not had a know your limit 8 breakout yet, this would be the candle that you would take. So you would want to take this break here. It's a small candle, it closed small. It's easy when this thing closes, especially your stochastics were probably close together, that it could have popped up and you could have made a little bit of money here. But all this is hard. Anything in here would have been a bend, and I don't really know how y'all traded it. But this seems a lot harder to trade during here. If in this range here, and it doesn't matter what it is, but because it didn't pop up through day highs, if it's chopping you out in here, in my opinion, you shouldn't play it, or you should play it with a smaller size, because it's not, you're going to have that less chance of it actually working, and you're going to get more of that chop action like this candle where it pulled all the way down, this candle where it's inside, this candle looks like it pulled down some and then went. So you'll want to wait for the next moving average to hit. When the moving average hits, now it works. Little mark one here, kind of, not a lot of volume reset, but look at this one, it's still inside. This comes more into play when we get up here. And I think this is probably where I came back, yeah, right about here, and I caught this move. And then I gave a lot of it back. So it's been going up. Every time it hits the 8 or it gets close to it, it breaks up. If you're making money, play this, because it hasn't broken down yet. It hasn't failed a moving average yet. And the only time it did, hopefully you weren't trying to catch breakouts here, it broke out, it kept coming, it's continued to fall up. So none of these are necessarily bad bends because it's all going in this direction as long as you're making money. Here's where it kind of becomes a bad bend in the point of this video. And I think this is in AMD where most of us got chopped up. If we got chopped up in this name. It's popping up here, it's going up. If you came like up here, you probably made a couple points on your calls. You could have made points on each one of these candles. It pulls down. This is a failed breakout, so you have a one and done reset, and it fails the breakout. So because it failed that breakout, after you get a failed breakout of a strategy that you're trying, you really should wait for the next strategy to hit. That seems to be the most effective thing that I've noticed when I play Amazon scalps, when I play anything, when I play AMD, Facebook, Tesla, whatever it is. Once you get a failed breakout, you really need to wait for another C strategy to hit before you can play it again. Otherwise, your risk goes up exponentially. This is usually when I would start losing. So it goes up. You should not try to play this candle. You should wait. It's going to pull down. It hits the 8. Now you're waiting for an 8 setup. So if it pulls down, it goes up. This candle is an okay front run because you haven't had a test of the 8 yet. Other than your stochastics are going in the wrong direction. But this breakout failed. It pretty much tagged and failed. So you should not try to front run it again on that strategy, in my opinion. That's the thing I've noticed the most. And I'm pretty sure I lost here. You might have made some here because this is the actual breakout that happened. So if you played this one, this would be your kind of bend. It's not a bad strategy. I'm sorry if I'm kind of talking. I'm just kind of talking what I'm thinking through it and what I was thinking at the time. Because this didn't break out, I took this one. So this actually broke out and then it failed. That's a big kind of no-no after that, playing the next 1 minute breakout, because now you're kind of in this chop zone. And look at all this. Look how these candles are moving. They're all inside. So unless you enter at the perfect bottom, you're more than likely going to get shaken out if you're scalping. So you go here. This, now you hit the 1 minute 21. Because you hit the 1 minute 21, you can play the next breakout. It's not a bad strategy. It's not a bad bend. You had a chart reset the first time it's hitting the 1. It broke up here and failed. So because it broke up and failed, everything after this is a no. You should not have been trying, and I think most of us did, try to catch some of these front runs. And none of these are actual good bends because you've had a failed breakout off of a 21. Your stochastics aren't going in the right direction. You had a failed breakout off the 8. No 1 minute breakout has worked. This has got within like 3 cents of breaking out, 7 cents of breaking out and failed. This one's a little bit lower. Drops down here. This one breaks out and fails, so you have another 1 minute breakout that failed. So that's 49. That's 10 cent breakout and failed. Same thing down here. You had a 10 cent breakout that failed. So all these are failed 1 minute breakouts. Once you start getting a failed breakout off of a 21 especially, you should be done playing breakouts off the 1 minute chart as far as bending goes. So let me go to Shift L and let's combine this with a 2 minute chart. So I'm going to leave it like this. Hopefully y'all see that 2 minute. I can shift. I'll make this one. All right, so here's the 2 minute chart. Here's when things actually, you could play any red takes green pretty much and make money. But if I could time this up with a 1 minute, let's see. So here you hit the 21. On the 2 minute you hit the 21, but you don't have a red candle. So I guess you could play a 1 minute breakout here, and this is probably that 1 minute breakout that worked on the 1 minute. Let me look at it really quick. So if you can see that, that's the 1 minute breakout that kind of worked after it hit the 21. But it didn't continue higher. So you hit the 21 and it failed. Because it failed on the 1 minute breakout, you're done with all 1 minute breakouts. You shouldn't be trying to play a 1 minute breakout. You should completely be leaving the 1 minute chart alone as far as bending. If you're going to bend or try to catch a breakout, you should then only be looking at, let's say, the 2 minute chart, and you should wait for a 2 minute breakout to play it. Or you go straight down to the 5 minute. So if we zoom in on the 2 minute chart, and I hope I'm explaining this okay, or my kind of message is getting across. So a 2 minute, you kind of had a 2 minute breakout here and it failed pretty hard. Because it wasn't a red bar, you could wait for maybe a green takes red to set up, and actually when that happens it works. But what you'll notice is, if I can go to the 5 minute, you had that failed breakout, you have another failed breakout here, so you have multiple failed 2 minute charts that break out together. But these correlate to a 5 minute breakout. So here's the next time you could play a breakout, and you can see where they all correlate on the chart and how you could play it. You could ignore, and I think I called this out when I was in the room. You have a 5 minute breakout. It's sitting on the 5 minute 8. So you're sitting on the 5 minute 8. You have a red take green, a red take that takes green that hasn't happened yet. So this candle on your 2 minute chart is going to actually take out that 5 minute. So this is a legitimate setup, and a setup that you can actually take and have some confidence in it. But none of these other candles through here, you shouldn't have played any of these. So that's, and if you only take one front run loss per candle, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 12 front run losses you could avoid if you weren't playing the 1 minutes and you were only going to play the 2 minute breakouts. So you could completely avoid all that and then wait for the 5 minute. So now you had a 5 minute breakout. I actually made money here. So I made money here, and I gave all my money back here, almost, that I made here. And then thankfully I caught this 5 minute pop and I was done. Like I stopped with AMD, good or bad. I kind of tilted away from it from a little bit. because I noticed what I was doing. I knew if I kept trading it, I would probably give it up because it was getting hard. And you could see that 5-minute breakout fails. So if you're bending, here's kind of that mental note, is it popped off of a 5-minute breakout and it fails. It does not continue to go up. This candle looks ugly. It doesn't break through day highs. If this would have been a bend-worthy play where you'd want to continue bending, it really needs to actually rip up and continue most of the time. If this candle would have closed stronger and then we would have had a little bit more gradual move up, I would have kept playing it. But it failed, ripped down, and then you get this chop action where if we go back on the 1 minute, because you do get a chart reset here, but let's go back on the 1 minute chart. Look at all these candles. Very few of them actually are tradable. They're all inside, inside. A little bit of a breakout. You know, you probably got chopped out in this area here because you got these 3 bars that are right next to each other. But none of these are a good bend because you had that failed 5-minute breakout that's not going to continue higher. And if you were going to bend, you would only take maybe this one. It would fail. And then hopefully you just identify it's not working. You say, you know what, if it breaks out higher, I play it. If it doesn't, I don't. It chops you around, it chops you around, it chops you around, it chops you around. You shouldn't be playing any of these because there's no continuation on any chart to the higher side. Okay, it consolidates a little bit. Here's a little bit of a breakout. Maybe you play it somewhere in here, but now it still doesn't break out this range and it rips down. You should be done with it again. So that's kind of what I've noticed is if you're bending and your front running's not working and if your trade's not working, and it sounds simple, but if what you're doing's not working, maybe once or twice on a bend, on a chase, on kind of a waiting for something to break out, you should wait for it to break out and then just play the breakout. Because if this would have broken out again and actually done something like this, you could have made money. If it just sat in here and did what it did here, where pretty much each candle just engulfs the previous candle and then moves up, that's just so hard to play unless you're holding it. If you play the green takes red though, and you actually just play the strategy and not the bend, you have a 5-minute breakout that takes place and you have a green takes red. You could have made money right here. And the only reason this candle would have made money was the green takes red. So that's the only strategy that worked. It wasn't the bend, it was the green takes red. And then instead of following higher, you get chopped out in this area. So you just should stop playing it and wait for an actual breakout to try it. So when you get this pop here, and it actually pops up and you can see some increasing volume, it's above all the other levels, then maybe you buy this one. And then you wait for this pullback and then you buy this one. So you could have made money there. Hold off on these candles because they're pulling down. This doesn't break out, it fails. On this, let me zoom in. So it doesn't break out, goes down, hits the 8. It hits the 8, fails. That's a failed hit the 8. You don't play anything else until it goes down and hits the next moving average, no matter what. You shouldn't be getting bent on any of these candles. It hits the 21. That's a new strategy. You can play the next 1-minute breakout. And there you go. And that's kind of what I've noticed. Then maybe you get bent on this candle. This candle didn't break out. You don't get bent. You don't get bent. You don't get bent. And you don't play any of these. You just wait. If it breaks out without you, that's fine. Just let it go. Or wait for a 2-minute strategy. Wait for something on a bigger chart. So that is hopefully a rough. I didn't spend a lot of time prepping. This is just off the top of my head, so I didn't really think through exactly how I wanted to articulate it. But hopefully it kind of comes across not sounding too crazy. And it sounds simple, but really in the moment it's not. And it takes that detaching, I think, to see this that we talked about in one of the other videos. It takes that ability to kind of OODA loop and to see what's going on, to detach from your trades for a second. And there's nothing wrong with bending and chasing these breakouts. We make a lot of money doing that sometimes. But you really need to identify, wait, we've had like 2 1-minute candles that didn't break out. I'm not going to take another one until I get the next moving average or the proper setup on the next time up on your chart. So it's not working on the 1 minute. Let's wait for the 2-minute green takes red. I'm not going to bend until that comes. So it's not working two or three times, and then all of a sudden, okay, no more 1 minute trading. I'm just going to bend, or I'm going to trade this name again when a 2 minute strategy sets up. Okay, a 2 minute strategy didn't set up. Yes, sorry, Baba. It's being recorded. It'll be in the education section and on the education section on YouTube as soon as I'm done doing it. So then you go to the 2 minute and you only play the 2 minute green takes red. If you get a failed and you can't make money on that, maybe you size down and try the next green takes red if you would like, or you just leave it alone until you get a 5 minute setup and then you play the next 5 minute setup. So if you're going to bend, it's not working on the 1 minute, wait for the 2 minute to bend. If it's not working on the 2 minute, wait for the 3 minute. And Booth said it before we started, and he talked about it. He said that, the trick is not blowing up. If you don't blow up and you don't give back what you make and you can control your losses, then you're going to be golden. The next week your account's going to blow up in the proper direction. It's going to go up. You're going to rocket through the roof. You're going to go to the moon. The trick is not blowing up and not getting chopped out of these things. Like if I would have identified this sooner, I would have had almost as big as a day as any day last week. And instead, I had a fairly flat day for me because I was not intelligent and I tried too many of these front runs instead of just identifying that it didn't work, leaving it alone, and waiting for that next 2 minute. That would have saved me so much capital and so much mental fatigue. Rose mentioned it, and I'll give her a second if she would like, or anybody else, to add to what I'm saying here about the bending and when we bend, and when we end up losing. But if you can control that and you can just cut back on that sum, your account at the end of the week and at the end of the month is going to look 10 times better than it does when you're over bending. So when a breakout doesn't work, it's okay to miss it. You'll get the next one. Let it happen, or wait for the setup on the next time frame. Wait for the stochastics to set up. If this is pulling down and a 1 minute breakout didn't work and the stochastics are midway down, wait for a moving average to hit and then play the next 1 minute breakout. Find ways and rules that you can give yourself, even if it means you're going to miss a move or two, to actually bend and take trades that will give you the highest statistical chance of winning. And it's not every 1 minute breakout, because the 1 minute breakouts pretty much stopped working in AMD in this area. And then they worked for a little bit, and then they chopped you out here. Then they went down. I'm pretty sure it was impossible to make money through most of this range for us in our style. I'm sure some people did. So that's my thoughts on bending, when to bend, when not to bend, when it's okay, and maybe what you should look for. Something that you could think about to limit your front run losses is, if it doesn't work once, leave it alone. Wait for the next C strategy to get those algorithms purchasing it, to get those computers purchasing the stock and launching you in the right direction. If you don't have that, you're really just gambling that it's going to go up, and over time you're just going to chop away your day. You're going to do like I did and other people did. I had a very, very good day and it went down to basically flat. Thankfully I didn't get toxic, but it would have been so easy to do if I had have kept going and not just detached for a second and realized what I was doing and what I was doing wrong. So that's what I noticed I was doing wrong today. Maybe, I don't know if anybody else has something they would like to add to what they did wrong, or something they noticed about themselves today. And I'll find another example of this.
Yeah, Gator, great stuff. I think your biggest take home point from there is to have in place some sort of either rules or system where that keeps you off of just bending over and over and over and trying it and trying it and trying it. Where, okay, if it fails the 1 minute breakout, then we are only going to trade the 2 minute. If that fails, then we're only going to trade the 5 minute, etc. And some sort of protocol in which to guide you to keep you out of so many of these trades when it's choppy and when it's you're just giving back your money. For me, I had a very bendy day. And I didn't bend too much on AMD. Ironically, I actually did pretty well with AMD. I bent mostly on Amazon. In the morning, I did very well with it, and I And then when AMD did its move, I did okay with that. But then I kept trying, in the end of the day, I kept trying to trade the puts on Amazon, and they were working, but it was too choppy. It wasn't the momentum there. It wasn't the volume there. The cues were not helping. It wasn't that really nice, clean action. And I was taking losses, and I was bending on it. And I was I had like this really insistency where I wanted to, when you get frustrated, you get like zoned in, you get like focused on this one stock. You're like, okay, I know it's going down, and it is going down, but it's just, and then you're timing with it. So for me, I didn't have much sleep last night. And for several nights, I haven't had a lot of sleep. And I noticed with me, when I'm sleep deprived, I can bend and tilt so much easier. My threshold of my discipline level, I can become a lot less disciplined when I'm under stress, mental fatigue, physical fatigue, and it's just like I don't care. I'm just going to try it anyway, or I'm going to take more size than I know I should. And also with that, I because I had a decent morning, I felt like I was justified to keep trying and bending, even though I was losing the money back. And then I stopped, and then, then I got, I was up some more. And then I said, well, as long as I'm green, this is psychologically, I felt like as long as I'm green, it's like I don't care. I just don't want to go red. I was at a very dangerous point today where I could have had a really bad red day, but I knew what was happening, and I knew I was in this very vulnerable state where I just was having like these impulses coming out of nowhere to want to slam something. Like, what is this? This is crazy, but I kept wanting to do it. And I was like, why? And a big part of that was just the simple fatigue. But I really was aware of what was happening, and it didn't prevent me from giving back my entire day, but it did prevent me from having a huge red day, which I could have had, because I was right on that edge of going from bending to tilting. um, and that's what you want to catch. You don't want to have those blow up days, because that really messes with you psychologically, with your account. And if you can recognize the warning signs and then have a strategy to mitigate when that's happening, when you see the warning signs and you're like, okay, I'm at a dangerous point right here. It's sort of like, you know, when you're driving intoxicated, you're like, okay, I need to pull off the road, or whatever it is. You have to catch yourself, have a protocol in place to prevent that major problem. And a lot of times that just comes with practice. Is you recognize it when you're in the state, break that neuro connection. Whatever it is you have to do, get up, turn off your computer, go outside, take deep breaths, whatever it is you have to do jumping jacks, break that neural connection. Because it's almost like, with me today, it almost felt like I had like a drug that I had to get out of my system, that was wanting me to force these trades that were not proper setups. And um, but for me also, when I got to the point of giving back my entire day and starting to go red, that's when I applied more brakes and said, I don't want to have a huge red day, so but I shouldn't have let it get to that point. But I need to not think of having green day, being up money, as being like the house's money, or being like money that it's okay to just risk and piss away because I'm up money. That's a fallacy that sometimes creeps into my head, like, oh, as long as I'm not red, it's okay to do what I'm doing. Or I don't care. Not that it's okay, but it's like, I don't care. I'm still green for the day. All right, I just gave back $2,000, $3,000. I'm still green. yeah, that's not the right thought process. So that's about all I have to say about that.
That's really good. And I can second that, that I know exactly what you feel and how, that happens to me quite often. I would say when I bend, it's kind of like that, especially if I caught some big moves early. And I think a lot of us do that. It's like, man, okay, I got some money to play with. All right, now I'm either, going to size up. I'm going to take these more trades. I can risk a little bit. This isn't a great setup, but you know what? I can smack this one a little bit. And I think it's good that you identified that it was the sleep and that you were just tired, you were exhausted, and it's easier for us to be mentally weak when that happens. It's easier for us to miss kind of that cue sometimes before it's too late. And I'm glad that you did it before you had a massive down day. And maybe one thing, to go off both of our stuff, if we notice that stuff happening and we notice that we're having that, and I think different people bend in different ways and tilts in different ways, but once you start noticing it, um, maybe the first step is limiting your trades. And instead of gambling your money, be like, okay, I'm going to continue to play Amazon, maybe, if you don't want to step away, or AMD or whatever other name. I'm going to play this, but I'm going to play the right setup, and it's okay if I miss something in between. You know, if it's continuing and it's making you money, maybe you continue trying. But if it's not, then maybe we wait until there's a better setup that we can take on a different time frame, or until something sets up a little bit better to give us a higher probability of taking it. It's hard to identify that in the moment, though, if you can't step back. And I did it here on Amazon, actually, because I saw Amazon. I think you might have been trading this here, Rose, too. I can't remember, but it was going down. It was like or 1040. This was earlier. Oh, this was before I left, actually. This was one or two of the trades that I caught. It was like I was trading this, and I think in here, after it broke down, so it was like I think I made some money in here, just trading Amazon based off the cues and stuff. And this is a 1 minute chart on the right now. So when it started ticking up, I think I lost several times trying to catch this, but I reminded myself, because of what had happened when I was out at the at AMD, what happened to AMD earlier in the day. Like, this helped me. It was like, it failed, it failed. I was like, okay, it's not working. I need to wait until something better sets up. So there's no 2 minute breakdown. None of these 1 minute breakdowns are working. Like, this one failed. So you know what? Let's just let it go. Let's let it tick back up. Wait for it actually to break down. And this is a 1 minute. None of these 1 minutes broke down. So why should I ever play it again until I actually get a 1 minute breakdown? Okay, so this would have saved me. And I'm not looking at my trades. I don't remember exactly what I did. But that would save you how many front run losses in a name? It's like, oh, the 1 minute breakdown didn't happen. Like, it hit the 8 and it still didn't happen. Okay, let's just leave it alone. Goes all the way up here. Maybe you play it once. I even doubt you do that then, but maybe you play it once. Oh, it popped back up. All right, I'm going to leave it alone. All right, so now we're up here. Maybe the cues are ticking down now. Your stochastics are set up for a better short, all this other stuff. All right, it broke down, and it broke down pretty strong, and I had a 2 minute. This is going to be a red takes green, the first red takes green since this pop. Okay, the first red takes green since that happened. A big 1 minute breakdown on slightly elevated volume. Maybe I bend, or maybe I take the next trade now. Now you could scalp this down for a few trades. You get a little bit of a pop. It consolidates. You might win or lose some in here. Then you get this breakdown. So identifying those things, I think, and not trying to make it back, like Brent is saying, like, if you get red, you get green, and then you start thinking about making back, or the money, or like, man, I'm going to use a random number. Like, if I'm up 2 grand, or no, I'm up $1,900. I'll bend for that $100 until I go down to like $800. Like, it's so dumb. I will give up whatever amount of money to get an even number, and I'm not even very OCD. It is annoying, and I can't stand that sometimes. So I'm really trying to like fix that. But it's stupid, because who cares? it's all going to be there or whatever. But maybe that's one thing we can identify. I think most people had a very green day or a green day before, generally speaking, from the poll that we ran earlier and the VTF and stuff. I know some of us gave it back. But I think overall it was a decent day to trade. It was a good for a Monday. Not everything was working. The market was kind of choppy. But with the AMD news, Amazon trended down. There were some good opportunities to make money. I think there was a few other names that worked. So I think all in all, it was a good day in the room. That was just something I noticed that I'm going to start doing actively, and I'll call it out in the room. So I wanted to let people know, like, hey, hey, we had a 1 minute breakdown that didn't work. I'm just going to miss the next one if it happens here. That kind of stuff, unless there's something that's just so good about this name. But generally speaking, if you're bending and you have these multiple, like, and you had one or two failures and there's no setup on a larger time frame, then there's no trade. There's no bend for me anymore. That's why I'm going to limit my bending losses, is by one or two trades fail in my bend. Okay, I'm going to wait. Okay, now there's a 2 minute setup or a 5 minute setup. Now I'm going to bend on this name because I really like this name. But my 1 and 2 minutes didn't work. I got to wait for a 5 minute or a proper C strategy. And so that, after one or two bends losses, helps you, I think, or might be able to help us identify, I'm bending, I'm tired, I'm this, that, or the other. Let's adjust so we don't give all of our day back. So that's what. Go ahead if someone was about to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that what Brent here said, that you have to be okay with part of what causes me to bend is like missing the chance to make back what I just lost. And you want to catch like every opportunity. And it's that basic FOMO because you just took some run losses and you want to make back that money like right away, that causes you to keep bending. Where if you're okay with psychologically, okay, this isn't the right setup. I'm going to go and just like, it's okay to quote, miss it and not make back the money I just lost in the front run losses versus, digging myself in a potential deeper hole. So that's part of it with me psychologically, is fear of missing the ability to immediately make back what I just lost in a few trades. Where I say, well, I've got all day or I've got all week, so that's part of this. You want this immediate gratification. You take a few losses, you want to make the money right back immediately. Um, the other thing, like you just said, Gator, is that happens to me all the time. I'll be like $1,900, and I'll quit. I'll be done when I get over 2,000, or just those little whole numbers, or if I'm at $9. I was the other day like $9 red, and I was like, I just want to have a green day. So just like one or two trades, just to get, just a green day. And then I ended up being down like $1,000 trying to make $9, silly stuff like that. So I am now deliberately um, ending like when I am just under those whole numbers, or I'm just, under just like a little bit red or whatever, and to get myself okay with those numbers and not want to have this even number all the time. So if I'm $3,000 and I fall down to 2,800, like, no, that's good for me. That is really good for me to have 2,875 instead of 3,052, to train myself to not care about those numbers like that, because I can't tell you how much money I have lost trying to make just a little bit. It's crazy.
Yep. And what we're doing there psychologically is we're like getting that tunnel vision, and we're thinking about something outside of our trades. So like in our OODA loop of deciding what a good trade is, do you know what just got added to that decision making process that doesn't belong there? Is emotion, and is and the wrong kind. It's something that has nothing to do with the trade we're looking for. So now we're emotionally bent on finding a trade to hit a number in our head that's not important, but we think it is. And we're not thinking smart trade, this setup, this setup. We're thinking, if this works, like, I'm going to buy here. It might drop a little bit. I'm going to make 10 cents and win, and then I'm done. Like, we're not actually looking at the trade intelligently and deciding if, based on the proper factors of our trade, that this is a good trade or a bad trade. We're thinking in the thing of, I want to make another X amount of money, and you're done once that happens, in my opinion. Once that happens, you are completely, um, like done for the day. As far as, you're not going to make money unless you get lucky. But if you make money that day with that mindset, I bet you my whole account, you lose it the next day. Like the first day there's a bad market, you'll lose everything times 10 that you made, because you are looking and thinking about the wrong thing. You might get lucky, but once you start adding that other decision into your process of whole number, like I did today, Rosa, like I don't remember what the number was, but I was like, I want to make, it was like I don't know, a little bit more money just to get this nice even whole number. And then I lost. And it is my own stupid decision, but it happens. Something was in my decision process that was not, this is not a smart trade. My decision making was inhibited by ego, by whatever you want to call it, that completely ruined an incredible day, number wise, for me, because I got sucked into that. And then it was what Rose just said. It was like, okay, I was, making up numbers. Say I was up 5,000, and now I'm at 4,600. I want to get that five back. Now I'm at 3,900. I'm just going to get it to 4, and then I'm going to stop because I kind of see that. Now I'm at 3,300. Oh, okay, I just, whatever. And now I'm down at 2, and then you're just sucked in, and you're just 100% tilted, and you're 100%. Now you're not bending. Now you're tilting. Now you're not taking any smart trades. Now you're just completely and utterly, just, you feel disgusting, you feel dirty, like we were saying, you just feel like a worthless, like you don't need to trade anymore, everything you're doing is wrong, you can't win, nothing I do works. And that's what's going through your head. And then you're like, something's got to work, and then you just start, then that's a tilt, basically. I just defined, and you watch the tilt happen. At some point in there, detachment has to happen. And if there's nothing to help that detachment happen, and that's why in the room here, you have some of us talking, and we're trying to call things out and stop, and we want people to talk to us and be like, hey, this is happening, this isn't working, so we can try to stop people from tilting. That's a tilt. That's what it looks like. That's how it happens, and that's how a bend goes from a tilt. And that's how, like Booth's saying, 20% sucks, goes to 50, then goes to 90, then goes to negative, and then, my rule is when I get back green from negative, I'm done, no matter what the number is. And then hopefully you can actually follow that rule, so you don't go back red and feel twice as worthless. So what Rose is saying, spot on, and it adds, really try to keep that in mind. And I can't tell you how much of a difference that's going to make in your P&L at the end of the week and at the end of the month. Because everyone says, oh man, I'm so close, I just keep blowing up and having those big red days. $50 as we're describing what your red day feels like mentally, what me and Rose are saying right now, and Booth's typing and other people are typing in chat. What we're saying right now is probably, not all the time, but probably what those days feel like for you mentally. So make some rules for yourself, obey your rules, find ways to reduce those bending losses when something's not working, and chill. Wait for the good setups, take the good setups. I'm a high volume trader. Like, very high volume, and I have to learn to chill, and we all do sometimes. So I don't know if Rose, if you have something else to add to that, if there's any questions that y'all want to ask really quick before we sign off for this evening.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Just go through like a protocol. One, recognize where you're at, your state of mind, what your emotions are. Like, okay, am I pre-tilt zone? Am I in the bendy zone? Or I'm like in a very dangerous zone of full blown tilt. Recognizing it is so important because once you can recognize it, then you now have some conscious control to take certain steps. But just recognizing it's not enough because it's almost like, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like this battle between your free will and your bendy the bendy addiction. So you recognize it, and then whatever it is for you, and it must probably different for other people. What's that protocol to get you out of that tunnel vision, out of that state that you're in? So you have to figure out what it is for you that gets you out of it. and then stick to that. And it's just with practice. The more times you break that neuro connection of being in that emotional state, because that's always going to be there, the factors that lead to bending and to tilting are never going to go away. It's how you mitigate them that is what's going to determine your success in this long term. And the more practice you have at mitigating those factors, those emotions, those impulses, through repetition, through practice, is what gets you to that point where that bendiness becomes less and less and less and less. But it's a process. So don't beat yourself up like, oh, I bent yesterday, I tilted yesterday, I'm not going to do that anymore. No, it's not like you do it, you don't do it. It's a scale, it's like a bell curve. So you do it, but you just do it less and less and less. And you do it less severe, and you do it like the old me today. I would have gone from green $3,800 to red like 5,000. That's what would have happened my old me. But with practice, having more experience, I was able to put the brakes on fast enough to just give back my day and not have a bad blowout day.
And that's, I think, what we all need to learn, and give yourself a little bit of grace when you do tilt. Boof, I think mine and Rose's tilts just look probably different, but they're probably like emotionally the same. It's just different people express in different ways. Like, I'd just be sitting here just like, darn it, I just lost 10 grand. Oh, son of a gun. That stinks. Like, it's kind of weird, but I'm probably more like that. Like, I'm just not as outwardly, I guess I'm more, I don't know if you call it stoic or whatever, but that's like more of mine. Like, oh, crap. I'm like Flanders on, what's the name of that show? The Simpsons. Ari Baba, to answer your question, when I am, my first trade is red. So my first trades are so small that an initial red wouldn't hurt me. So like my first trade, if I lose on it, like I'm not heavy size, so my defaults, because you've all seen my thing, is usually 10, 20, 30. It's 5 to 10 contracts on my first trade, and that's how it doesn't hurt me, because it's not like I'm sizing into 100 contracts in something and I'm down 10 grand or 5 grand or something. It's like I'm sizing in 5 or 10 contracts on a Mark 1. If it doesn't work instantly, I'm out, or a one and done if you're using E-Trade or something. And so I'm not losing more than 10, 20 cents generally speaking, so it doesn't hurt me that bad just because I'm not going heavy. Any other questions before we close this out? See some good comments. So there's cap. What Booth is saying is good. Wait for good trade to work. Let it. Yeah. What he's saying is 100% right. You want names that are trading at or above day highs, without a doubt, above the first 1 or 2 minute high. If I can go to AMD. And then if you have watched the stochastics videos, watch the stochastics videos. Buy one only when it's only when there's a 1 minute only when there's a 1 minute stochastic going up in the right direction. You can find little things like that to help you pick the right name. Don't bend at all. Like, you're only, if you have a cash account that's low, you're only taking C strategies. So you're not just taking every 1 minute breakout. You're waiting for an 8. So if I was playing AMD here and AMD went up, I would take, if I had a cash account, I would have taken, let's say I took this one, I wouldn't have taken, I might have lost here on my cash account. I would have waited, hopefully played this one, and then I wouldn't have played any of the other ones until I hit an 8 again. So I would only play off of a moving average. I probably would have missed most of these, maybe take this Mark 1. So you just limit the ones you're taking to the ones that you feel are the most like effective for you, or that are working, or the ones that everybody else in the room is calling out as being active. That's kind of how, if I was a cash account, which I am doing a 5K challenge starting when I pay my house off next year. The reason I haven't done it is I'm just getting out of debt, and I don't want to spend time on a 5,000 account when I'm trying to pay that off. As soon as that's done, then I'm jumping into I'll have a video series with a 5K challenge. So that's my answer. What Boof is saying is also correct. No, not focus on one name. Find find good setups like the rotation crew. We're here naming stuff. Um, we're here naming different names, and so find a name that looks like it's trending. It's above the first 1 or 2 minute highs. It's typically has broken through day highs and hasn't hit a moving average yet. So like AMD here, let's say it broke above day highs and it hadn't hit a moving average. So you would want to play it somewhere in there. You'd want something more like that. Like the first time a C strategy happens is the most effective. You know, if you hear one of us saying something or you hear all of us calling out a name, like we're all saying, hey, I'm taking this, I'm taking this, I'm taking this. We're not telling you what to take. We're just doing our own thing. But maybe that's a name you want to look at and you want to be like, oh, okay, this looks good. As long as if you watch my last video, we talked about, you need to be your own trader. You don't need to take it because I'm taking it or Boof or Rose. You need to take it because you understand why you're buying this name. This is a strategy that you understand. You're buying this. We all like it. So maybe you have some help, a little bit of conviction because you got multiple people that trade like you that like it. But you need to understand why you're buying it. Don't buy anything because of us buying something or not buying something. So that's how. That's even how I do it too. Like I try to find, even though I don't have a cash account, I'm trying to find the best names to trade, and I do that by using this room and the other room. That my wife would be so mad, Boof, if I took out a home equity loan to buy like crappy uh, crypto until I hit a home run. But then she'd probably still be mad at me. Yeah, you're welcome. So if we don't have anything else we're gonna add, I don't see any other questions. If you ask one, type it really quick. If not, we can stay here. We're free to chat more. I don't mind. But as far as the video on YouTube, um, yeah, Amazon's different. As far as the YouTube video, we're going to go ahead and we're going to stop it. And for the educational part of it, we're going to stop it. It'll be posted. If you have any questions or you would like to trade with us in this room, I'll post the Discord in the description below. You're free to join. If you have any other questions, write them in the comment. If you like this video, this type of content, you want to see more of it, like, share, subscribe. I will continue to make them and we'll continue to post them, not just with me, but other traders in this room where we're talking through strategies, things that help us. This is my full-time job. This is other people's here full-time job, and we'd love to get more people on this train. So I will see y'all next time. Have a great evening. I'll talk to you later.